He gave her the world, and she shattered it. A man, heartbroken and betrayed, sits in silent agony. How many of you have lived this story? Worshipping a woman, believing that love was pure magic, only to watch your entire world crumble into dust. How many warnings from friends, from family, from your own gut have to go unheeded? It turns out, one man did warn all of us, almost 200 years ago. His name was Arthur Schopenhauer, and he tried to reveal a truth that most men, then and now, refuse to see. Schopenhauer warned us about the dangerous illusions of love and the fundamental nature of women, but his words fell on deaf ears. Today, we're finally going to listen. The Great Deception. Romantic love, we're told it's life's greatest treasure, the ultimate prize. From the time we're boys, we're fed a steady diet of fairy tales, knights and princesses, soulmates, and the promise of happily ever after. So naturally, we dive in head first, hearts blazing, absolutely convinced that this woman, the one standing right in front of us, is an angel sent to complete our lives. Love songs blast it from the radio. Movies and TV shows glorify it endlessly. When we're not in love, we're desperately chasing it. When we are in love, it consumes our every waking thought. And when we lose it, we completely fall apart. Love dominates our conversations, our dreams, our entire existence. How could something that feels so magnificent, so transcendent, possibly be a lie? Schopenhauer, living in the 19th century, looked at all this chaos and asked the same question. Why all this noise, he wrote? Why all this crowding, anguish, and want? Why should such a trifle create so much disturbance? To a man whose heart has just been ripped out, love is anything but a trifle. It's the end of the world. But to an outside observer, it can look like a lot of drama over nothing. Schopenhauer, however, answers his own question with a thunderclap. It is not a trifle at all. In fact, the stakes of love are the highest imaginable in human life. The insane highs and devastating lows, the ecstasy, the jealousy, the despair, are so intense because something far deeper is on the line. Every love affair, he argued, whether it ends in comedy or tragedy, has one ultimate aim that is more important than all other aims in life. That aim is life itself, the composition of the next generation. This is why love feels like heaven or hell. It's why men have moved mountains, written epic poems, and even waged wars over a woman. Schopenhauer dryly notes that the welfare of entire nations has sometimes been sacrificed to the whims of a love affair. We sense, deep down in our bones, that something profound hangs in the balance. But what is it really? To find the answer, Schopenhauer tears back the romantic veil to expose the hidden engine powering all our passions. The puppet master, the will to life. Schopenhauer's philosophy gives us a shockingly direct explanation for romantic love. Beneath all the poetry, the sweet nothings, and the grand gestures, love is a biological trick. According to Schopenhauer, every single living creature is driven by an irrational, unrelenting force he called the will to life. Think of it as a primal, instinctual will to survive and reproduce. This will doesn't care about your art, your career, your sense of justice, or even your personal happiness. It has one single overriding goal, that life must go on, and it will blindly drive us toward that end, no matter the cost. So where does love fit in? In Schopenhauer's words, romantic love is nothing more than a puppet of the will to life. We think our love for a woman is this unique, personal, sacred feeling. We think we've found our other half, but in reality, Schopenhauer says it's almost entirely based on the instinct to reproduce and propagate the species. Love is simply nature's bait, a sweet, intoxicating illusion designed to make sure we fulfill our biological mission. Reproduction is the ultimate purpose of every organism, and therefore its strongest instinct. So when you fall madly in love, when you obsess over her above all else, when you can't eat or sleep, that's not cosmic destiny at work. That's your deep-seated instincts sizing her up as a good potential mother for your future children. As harsh as it sounds, nature doesn't give a damn about your happily ever after. It only cares about getting the next generation onto the production line. Schopenhauer paints a chilling picture: the individual versus the species. He says, the genius of the species is at continual warfare with the genius of the individual. Think about what that means. The very same force that makes you feel so euphoric and alive in the beginning of a romance is the same force that will destroy your personal happiness without a second thought if it serves the larger purpose. All those promises of forever? Nature will break them in a heartbeat the moment they are no longer useful for its goal. In this war, everything is fair game, especially deception. Schopenhauer reveals the secret. Nature achieves its goals through illusion. He writes that nature plants a certain illusion in our minds, making something that is only good for the species seem like it's good for us personally. That illusion is what we call falling in love. In plain English, we are tricked. We're conned into chasing what the species needs, all the while thinking it's what we need. We believe we're searching for personal joy, for a soulmate, but we're actually just unwitting soldiers serving the immortal life force of nature, often at our own expense. It's a brutal realization, that dizzying, soul-stirring romance that made you feel like you were on top of the world. It was never really about your happiness. It was nature's ploy to get you to bind yourself to a woman and create new life. And once that goal is achieved, the curtain often falls dramatically. The illusion necessarily vanishes directly once the end of the species has been attained, Schopenhauer notes. How many couples have felt this exact thing? The fiery passion just fades, especially after a child is born. The relationship starts to strain under the cold, hard weight of reality. Schopenhauer has a famous, cynical quip: the devil's laughter is heard after the act of love. In that moment of post-romantic clarity, men often feel a strange emptiness, a disillusionment. Modern science even has a name for this: postcoital tristesse, or the sadness after sex, and studies show it happens to men far more often than women. Schopenhauer would say it's no mystery. For a brief moment, the will to life has let you glimpse the truth of your situation. You've served nature's purpose, and now you're left wondering, what was I thinking? The bliss was brief, the aftermath sobering. So if love itself is the illusion nature uses to trap us, what about women? What is their specific role in this grand biological scheme? Here, Schopenhauer's analysis becomes unapologetically blunt, and what he has to say is the key to understanding everything that follows. So if love is an illusion, a biological trick played on us by nature, what does that make women? Schopenhauer's view on this is unapologetically blunt, and for many, deeply controversial. He saw women as the primary instrument of nature's will, meticulously designed to entice and ensnare men for the sole purpose of reproduction. Now, this isn't a flattering picture, but remember Schopenhauer's goal: to rip away the comforting lies and reveal what he saw as the uncomfortable truth. He observed that nature arms every creature with the tools it needs for its specific role. For women, nature's strategy is all about creating a stunning but temporary effect. He writes that young women are gifted, for just a few short years, with an overwhelming abundance of beauty, charm, and grace, often at the expense of the rest of their lives. Why? So that during those peak years, they can capture the imagination of a man so completely that he's driven to commit to her for life. A man under the spell of a young woman's beauty will rush headlong into taking care of her, signing himself up to provide for and protect her indefinitely. Schopenhauer notes that this is a step no man would take if he calmly and rationally considered it. No man in his right mind would voluntarily sign up for the heavy burdens of marriage and family if he just thought it through. And yet, countless men do it every single day. Why? Because they are not considering it. They are completely entranced. Nature has cast its spell perfectly. And once the deed is done, once the commitment is made and the biological purpose is in motion, nature, being ruthlessly efficient, economizes. Schopenhauer uses a brilliant analogy. Just as a female ant after mating sheds her wings, which are now not only useless, but would be dangerous to her task of breeding, so does a woman often lose her youthful beauty after producing a child or two. That blossom of charm begins to fade. In Schopenhauer's time, it was a common observation how a woman's looks often declined sharply after pregnancy. The very allure that captivated a man was temporary by design. It only needed to last long enough to secure a partner and procreate. What seemed to a man like a glimpse of eternal beauty was, in Schopenhauer's cold calculation, a biological bait with an expiration date. Nature needed her to be beautiful to attract you. It doesn't need her to stay that way after the children arrive. A different operating system. This sounds terribly cynical, as if women are consciously trying to deceive men. But Schopenhauer isn't necessarily blaming individual women. He's exposing the biological program that they themselves are subject to. In his view, men and women are simply wired differently for a reason. Women's entire existence, from their anatomy to their psychology, is shaped by the absolute imperative of childbearing and rearing. One need only look at a woman's shape to see she isn't built for great physical or mental labor, he wrote. She pays the debt of life not by what she does, but by what she suffers. Childbirth, caring for children, and submission to a man. Because of this role, nature made her a specialist in nurturing the young. But this specialization, he argued, comes with a side effect. Women, he says, are adapted to be nurses and educators of our early childhood, and for that very reason, they themselves are childish, foolish, and short-sighted. In a word, they are big children all their lives. This is a provocative claim, but let's unpack what he meant. In Schopenhauer's eyes, women tend to think and behave more like children. They live in the immediate moment. Their minds are occupied by trivialities, and they don't naturally engage in abstract long-term thinking. They always see only what is near at hand, he says. They cling to the present, take the appearance of a thing for reality, and prefer trifling matters to the most important. Men, by contrast, mature later, but eventually develop stronger reasoning powers. They ponder the past and the future. They build systems of principles, and they focus on long-range goals. So what happens when a rational man falls in love? He loses his reason. The will's illusion completely overwhelms his intellect. Schopenhauer points out that in matters of the heart, women usually remain far more practical and sober in their judgment. They see a man for what he is, with a keen eye for how he can serve their needs and the needs of their future children. But a man in love? he often can't see clearly at all. Women see nothing beyond what is really there, Schopenhauer remarks, while we men, if our passions are roused, slightly exaggerate and add to our imagination. The man in love projects all kinds of imaginary virtues onto the woman. He idealizes her, turning her into a goddess. He overlooks her flaws, massively overrates her qualities, and fools himself into believing she's different from all the others, perfect, pure, and unique. He is effectively under a spell. Meanwhile, the woman, guided by instinct and practicality, may simply be securing a reliable mate who can provide for her. The man is living in a beautiful dream. The woman is operating in a much more grounded reality. This fundamental imbalance sets the stage for massive disappointment. The rules of the game. Schopenhauer goes even further. Since women are the physically weaker sex, he argues that nature didn't equip them with strength or a sense of fairness. It equipped them with cunning. Nature has destined them to depend not on strength, but on cunning, he writes. Hence their instinctive craftiness and irrepressible tendency to lie. That is a harsh indictment, an ineradicable tendency to lie. In Schopenhauer's view, women instinctively use deception, misdirection, and manipulation to secure advantages, much like a weaker animal uses camouflage to survive. It's not that every woman is consciously plotting to deceive you. It's that nature, the great puppet master, often uses a woman's wiles to achieve its own goals. Men, on the other hand, endowed with stronger bodies and, in his view, stronger reason, developed a greater sense of abstract justice, honor, and principled behavior. Men expect agreements to be kept. They expect sacrifices to be repaid. They expect loyalty to be a two-way street. These are male assumptions, born from a mind that thinks in terms of abstract rules and principles. Schopenhauer believed women do not share this same deep-seated moral earnestness, because their biological role didn't require it for survival. This led him to famously write that the fundamental fault of the woman's character is the lack of a sense of justice. Truth, honor, fairness. These things may be bent or completely discarded by a woman when her instincts or interests dictate. Now, whether you agree with this or not, just consider for a moment what it means for a man who is deeply invested in romantic ideals. He expects his beloved to be an angel of loyalty and virtue, just as he imagines her to be. He simply cannot fathom that she might deceive him, abandon him, or use him. After all, he would never do that to her, right? And yet, how often do we see men who are completely and utterly shocked by infidelity, or by a spouse's cold, calculating cruelty in a divorce, or by blatant gold-digging manipulations? To Schopenhauer, this tragedy is almost predictable. The man let his guard down, blinded by the beautiful illusion of love, and forgot that nature, not sentiment, is ruling the game. The woman, whether she's conscious of it or not, is often just following nature's script. Attract a mate, secure resources and protection, and ensure survival. And if that means faking a little extra affection, or breaking a promise when it no longer benefits her, then so be it. The naive man is left devastated, thinking, I never thought she was capable of this. He feels betrayed to his very core, because he projected his own code of honor onto her, completely ignoring the reality of her nature, as described by Schopenhauer. This is the dark, brutal picture Schopenhauer paints. It is not pretty, and it is not polite. But, as he would argue, it is reality unmasked. And seeing reality clearly, no matter how harsh, is always better than living in a comforting lie, because it is only when you see the layout of the prison that you can begin to look for an escape. Given this philosophy, it's no surprise that men fall into trap after trap. We're going to expose those traps next. The 6 traps that ensnare men. Given this brutal philosophy, it's no surprise that men fall into trap after trap when it comes to women and love. Let's shine a bright, unforgiving light on these psychological snares and how Schopenhauer's insight can finally help you break free. Trap number 1. Idolizing women. Men constantly put women on a pedestal, adoring them as flawless goddesses. Under the intoxicating effect of love, you exaggerate her virtues and completely ignore her flaws. You convince yourself, she's not like the others. She's perfect. This idealization is a trap. You're no longer loving a real person. You're in love with an illusion you built inside your own head. When reality inevitably shows up, you get crushed. Schopenhauer's warning is simple. See her as a human, not an angel. Recognize this tendency to project perfection for what it is, a delusion of your own passion. Trap number 2. Mental blindness. Love is called blind for a reason. Schopenhauer compares its effect to a drug. It clouds your judgment and completely suspends your intellect. A normally sensible man will make wildly irrational choices under the sway of romance, marrying hastily, abandoning his responsibilities, giving his trust to someone he barely knows. This madness is nature's way of short-circuiting your brain to push you toward its goal. Schopenhauer's warning. Understand that when you're madly in love, you are literally not thinking straight. Major life decisions must wait until the fog clears. Otherwise, you risk chaining yourself to a lifelong mistake. Trap number 3. Sacrificing yourself and purpose. How many men sacrifice their own ambitions, their friendships, even their dignity, just to keep a woman's affection? You might change your entire life's course to fit her needs, give up your hobbies, pour out your resources, all in the name of love. While compromise is normal, losing yourself completely is a grave error. Nature doesn't care if you fulfill your dreams. It only cares that you provide for its dream, the children. Schopenhauer's warning. Do not surrender your entire being to the illusion. A man must retain his sense of self and purpose outside of the relationship, or he will have nothing left when the illusion fades. Trap number 4. Believing in the myth of equal devotion. A man often assumes that the love he gives will be returned in the exact same way. If I am faithful, loving, and sacrifice for her, she will do the same for me. But if Schopenhauer is right, men and women love differently. A man may love with an idealistic, principle-based devotion, while she loves more practically, guided by what is advantageous for her and her potential offspring. When circumstances change, he loses his job, his status, or she finds a better provider, her feelings may change too. The man who believed in unconditional love is left heartbroken, asking, "How could she do this to me?" Schopenhauer's warning. Don't assume the other side is playing by your rulebook. Her instincts can and will override sentiment. Love is often conditional. Trap number 5. Chasing beauty, ignoring its nature. Men are notoriously susceptible to visual beauty. Many have walked straight into ruin following a pretty face. Schopenhauer starkly reminds us that this beauty is a wasting asset, nature's temporary trap. A man who marries a woman only because she is stunning will find himself in a world of regret when that beauty inevitably fades. If there was nothing deeper holding them together, what remains? Nature is counting on the fact that your youthful desire will overwhelm your foresight. Schopenhauer's warning: enjoy beauty, but do not be enslaved by it. A lifelong commitment based purely on a fleeting attribute is a deal you are bound to lose. Trap number 6. Total emotional dependency. Perhaps the most painful trap of all is making a woman the sole center of your happiness. You fall into the mindset of, without her, I am nothing. This total emotional dependence is catastrophic. When that relationship ends, the man finds himself utterly lost. His confidence, his social life, his mental stability, it all crumbles. Schopenhauer, who was deeply pessimistic about finding happiness in the world at all, would say that no person should ever stake their entire reason for living on another. Schopenhauer's warning: love, but don't lose yourself. Your world cannot revolve around her, because one day she will exit, through breakup or death or simple change, and your world will collapse. These traps ensnare even the best of us, and they all share one root: illusion. Illusions about who she is, what love will do for you, and who you become under its spell. Schopenhauer's philosophy tears these illusions down, mercilessly. And with that knowledge comes power. Waking up, this is a lot to take in. It's deeply unsettling. Hearing these things might make you feel angry or sad, or maybe you're in total denial. Schopenhauer's intent wasn't to make you hate women, and neither is mine. The intent is to open your eyes. Think of it like someone yanking you out of a pleasant dream because your house is on fire. The dream was lovely, but you have to face reality to avoid disaster. So what now? Should you avoid women, avoid love, and live in cynical isolation? Schopenhauer himself chose a life of bachelorhood and intellectual pursuit, wary of these entanglements. But you have to find your own path. The purpose of this philosophical wake-up call is not to tell you not to love. It is to ensure that if you do it with a clear mind. The sobering, empowering truth is this: romantic love is not a divine magic that will complete you. It is a powerful natural instinct that can just as easily destroy you if you are ignorant of its nature. Women are not goddesses or devils. They are human beings driven by biological imperatives, just as men are. Your personal happiness is not their priority. Nature's agenda is. Once you truly grasp this, you can approach life with a new mindset. Clarity. No more blind idolization. You can see your partner as a flawed, real person. You understand that your own intense feelings are part of an instinctual drive, which helps you keep a level head even when passion is raging. Boundaries. You can love someone and share your life, but you won't abandon your self-respect or your life's mission for them. Your identity will not be consumed by the relationship. Caution. You will be careful about huge commitments like marriage and children. You will consider them with open eyes, asking yourself, is this what I truly want? Or is this what my biology and society are pushing me to want? Resilience. If love ends or a woman betrays you, you will hurt, but you will not be utterly shocked as if the universe itself has broken. You'll recognize it as a painful but predictable part of the human condition. You can pick up the pieces and rebuild, wiser now, never to be fooled by the same illusion twice. Schopenhauer's ultimate message is one of awakening. It's as if he's shaking you by the shoulders and screaming, look around, see things as they are. Don't be a slave to a game you don't even realize is being played. Yes, the truth is cold. Yes, it stings to admit that the thing we cherished most might be a grand evolutionary con, but there is a strange and profound freedom in it. If love is a game nature plays, you can finally learn the rules. You can choose how, or even if, you want to play. You are no longer being led blindly by a carrot on a stick. You can finally steer your own life. We return to our heartbroken man from the beginning. We return to you. If you've been through the ringer of love, you now have a choice. Will you continue to live in the comfortable dream, repeating the same cycle of infatuation and despair? Or will you heed the warning Schopenhauer gave us and finally break free of the spell? Men, Schopenhauer sounded the alarm nearly 2 centuries ago. Do not let it fall on deaf ears again. The next time you find yourself mesmerized by a beautiful face, the next time you feel that surge of overwhelming passion, remember these words. Remember that something ancient and impersonal is working within you. Pause. Let clear reason have its say. This doesn't mean you cannot love. It means you must love knowingly. Love without delusion. In the end, Schopenhauer offered brutal clarity as a gift. It's a gift that can save a man from ruin. It can transform heartache into insight. The truth will set you free, but first, it will shock you. Wake up. See love for what it is. And most importantly, see yourself not as a lovesick fool at the mercy of your biology, but as a man who can rise above it with understanding. You have been warned. Now awaken and choose your path with your eyes wide open.